This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
The matchups are now officially set for the NFL's wild card weekend, which means we got betting odds for all 6 games, and it's time to go game by game across the wild card weekend, letting you know my models, spread, and total predictions, and my favorite early week bets at FanDuel Sportsbook for the opening round of this year's playoffs. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, here to take a look at the NFL wildcard weekend, breaking down each matchup and letting you know where I'm seeing betting value for this week. Initial thoughts from me on the wild card round from a betting perspective. We'll dive in and go game by game in sequential order here in just 1 second. But first, a reminder to make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts. Our breakdown of the NFL or the college football semifinals coming tomorrow with Riley Thomas of FanDuel Research. He'll break down his thoughts on both those games, some futures, and much more. That'll be at noon Eastern on the YouTube page and up on the Covering the Spread podcast feed after that. We, of course, have our NFL Best Bet Show coming up on Thursday with Megan Payton. We'll have NFL player props on Friday as well. So still 4 shows per week here on the feed, Covering the Spread podcast feed. Search for that. Hit subscribe. And if you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star rating and review as well. And of course, check out the YouTube page. We'll be live there again today, tomorrow noon Eastern for the college football stuff, 4 p.m. Thursday, 10 a.m. on Friday to get you set for the wild card weekend. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That is $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Plus, when you win, you'll get paid instantly. Get started with $200 in bonus bets. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's begin things now with the first game of the wild card round. That, of course, is the Texans. They're in the playoffs, therefore they've got to be at the 3:30 p.m. Eastern slot, 4:30 p.m. Eastern slot to kick things off. They're facing the Chargers here. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Chargers favored by a full 3 at FanDuel Sportsbook. That was 2.5 this morning. It's a pretty light 3 at -104 there. Total in this game is at 43.5. Total, I'm not seeing a lot there. My model has this total of 43.6. That to me is a stay away. I do show value on the Texans money line, though, and that terrifies me. I don't want to be here. They've been an abysmal team to watch the entire year. They now have no Tank Dell. They're not a fun team to watch or root for, but I don't think I can reasonably project a team with CJ Stroud and Nico Collins for worse efficiency than what I have them at right now. I think they're pretty much at rock bottom, and in order to not show value in them, I'd have to lower their offense a bit more, and I really don't think that I can do that based on where they're sitting here. So it kind of winds up being a situation where I like CJ Stroud still, think that he's looked terrible this year, but there is still a good quarterback in there. He's got Nico Collins, and I'm kind of okay betting on that. They've been trying a bunch of different offensive line combinations. They tried out a new one again yesterday. They're switching around some dudes, trying to fit the puzzle pieces in and see what works. And the run game did look good. It was against a Titans defense that clearly did not care. But you kind of hope they unlock something. And again, I'm not really factoring that in. It's more so like I'm trying to cope with the fact that I have value in the Texans money line at +132. I've got the Chargers favored in this game, got them favored by 0.67, but even with that being the case, still showing value in the Texans at +132. It is also a bet on the Texans defense, which has been really, really good this year. They're probably around the healthiest they've been for most of this year. No Jalen Petrie because he is out, but Derek Stingley's going to be there. Will Anderson's fully healthy now. Daniel Hunter is there. Azeez Al-Shaair is back as well. So it's probably the best version of this Texans defense we've seen all year. And they've been a really good unit. I think they've been a lot better than this Chargers defense too. And this Chargers offense is okay, but not amazing. Saints moving right now on the Chargers or the Texans money line. They were plus 132, now plus 130. So that's reassuring for me. I'm not alone on this Texans island. It doesn't feel good by any means. And I don't really want to be here. But again, I don't think I can project the Texans offense to be any worse than what I've got it at right now. So with that considered, I'm okay betting the Texans money line plus 130 now at FanDuel Sportsbook. I do think that is a value, a good enough one for me to dive in there. If you wanted to divvy it up and take the points too, fine with that personally, because 3 is a lot of points for a team at home with a total this low. Texans effectively got most of week 18 off too. So I don't mind if you want to take the 3, but I'll take the plus 130 in the money line because I want a better payoff for what is a very volatile team if I'm going to delve in their waters to the opening game of the 2024 playoffs. Second game on the slate is the Steelers at the Ravens. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook. Ravens favored by 9.5, and the total of this game is sitting at 45.5. I am showing value right now in both the Ravens minus 9.5 and the over for this game. That's the most part because I am buying into this Ravens offense. And although I respect Mike Tomlin, respect the Steelers defense, I don't think they can keep pace with this team in the way the Ravens are set up currently. Because yes, Zay Flowers is a question mark for this game. But the Ravens showed they could still play pretty well without him against that Browns team because Rashad Bateman is fine enough. They got Isaiah Likely. They can go with Mark Andrews too and kind of go with a more heavy personnel set to make up for the fact that Zay Flowers may not be able to go for this game. And also, it's Lamar freaking Jackson, who played like an animal this year. He had even way better numbers this year than he had when he won MVP last year. And you're putting him against a Steelers team that seems odd from a vibes perspective. George Pickens not trying his hardest, it doesn't seem, as of right now. The defense has had its issues as well. They did pretty well against the Bengals. But overall, I just think the Ravens are a much, much better team. And when you look at my model's history, when teams have been favored by as heavily as I had the Ravens favored, they've covered a 9.5-point spread 64% of the time. So to me, that says I can buy into the Ravens here and feel good about them, despite the fact 9.5 is a very big number for two teams that know each other very well and have seen each other twice already so far this year. I think we could see a similar setup to what we saw with the Ravens-Texans game on Christmas, where it was like just getting nothing out of the Steelers offense, and the Ravens offense does whatever it wants. So that's why if I were to bet one aspect of this game, I prefer to lay the points of the Ravens minus 9.5. I think that's also a better bet than their team total, which is 27.5. Over there was minus 116 when I was looking earlier on. It's a pretty juicy number to get over a key number. So yeah, minus 116, 27.5. So to me, best bet in this game is going to be the Ravens minus 9.5. It is a massive number, but I just feel like with the way things have gone for the Steelers team recently, things are trending down. Ravens are very good. May not have Zay Flowers, but still want to buy into them here. So liking the Ravens minus 9.5, minus 110 for that one. Shifting now to the Sunday games. First one up there is the Broncos at the Bills. Broncos did not hold back at all against the Chiefs, winning that game 38-0. Impressive showing for them. I know it's a lot of backups, but still an impressive showing by the Broncos to take care of business there. And their reward is facing Josh Allen and the Bills. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Bills favored by 8.5, and the total in this game is at 47.5. I do show value on the Broncos in this game. Got the Bills favored by 6.3. Now, that feels light to me personally. I feel like it should probably be a bit more because the Bills can just lay it on teams, even very good teams. And the Broncos are that. So that's why, even though I show value on the Broncos, I'm probably not going to take it right now. If this number were to move a bit more, if it could get me a 9.5, somewhere in there, maybe I could buy in then. But I'm just so scared of this Bills team. They have been phenomenal this year. Josh Allen is a killer. And if they need to put pedal to the metal, they absolutely can do so, especially now they've had time to gel with Keon Coleman. I know Amari Cooper, I missed last week due to personal reasons, but if you can get that receiver core fully gelled and ready to go, they could give a lot of teams a lot of issues. So I do show value in the Broncos. Probably going to ignore it for right now. Going to keep tabs in this market and see if it does get a bit of a better number later on. And if that does wind up happening, I can see myself buying in the Broncos then. don't really want to do so right now, despite the fact I am very impressed with what they've done this year. Sean Payton has done a phenomenal job. Bo Nix has been really good as a rookie. Marvin Mims is getting more involved. Cortland Sutton is what he is. Defense is good. I'm not going to get there. But I could potentially buy in later on, just so I respect this Bills team so much. Total for me, 49.1, market total 47.5. So I think that if I were to bet this, I prefer to bet the over. I would want that to go under 47. So if we get it to 46.5, maybe I can buy in. I can't recall if there was snow here. There was snow in a couple of spots for this weekend, potentially Baltimore too, as they take on the Steelers. But keeping tabs on the total, more interest there than betting the Broncos. If it were to go to 46.5, I don't think it will, but if it were, I could buy in. But for me, a stay away for now, but monitoring the Broncos, see if we get a better number on them later on this week. The Sunday afternoon game is the Packers and the Eagles. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Eagles here by 4.5. Total in this game is 46.5. We got the Eagles here by 2.9, so some value the Packers here. I want to hold off and get a better read on Jordan Love first. It seemed like he was okay because he was tossing the ball around on the sidelines during that game yesterday. It seemed like he potentially could have gone back in, and Matt LaFleur said he could have, but he also said he couldn't feel part of his arm, which seems not ideal. It could just be something hit his funny bone. That could wind up being a situation where he's actually okay, and maybe I'm ignoring value here. But it also is a very good Eagles defense. And if I can have an excuse to not bet against them, I'm okay taking that for right now and taking more of a wait and see approach. I also want to downgrade the Packers for no Christian Watson. We saw in that Vikings game, Watson as a field stretcher does make a difference. They don't really have anyone else who kind of fits in that same mold. Dontavian Wicks more of a separator underneath. Jaden Reed, a slot guy. Romeo Doubs is a field stretcher, but not one who earns any targets. So like downfield targets. So it's a weird mesh where Watson actually does matter a decent amount for this Packers team. So if I were to bet this game, I would be going towards the Packers money line, likely a plus 198. 4.5 is a lot of points, but again, they're a volatile team, and I want to safeguard myself against that volatility by going with the money line versus the spread. That's why I would go that route with the Packers. But for me, it winds up being a stay away for right now, where I don't really want to go there. Total in this game, 47.5 or 46.5. I got it at 47.5 on my end, so likely a stay away there too. So keeping tabs on the Packers. If I get a good read, that Jordan Love will be fully healthy for this game. If Romeo Doubs will be back too, maybe I'll buy in then. But for now, holding off on the Packers until I get a better read in the injury situation on the offensive side of the ball. I am so excited for the Sunday night game. That is the Commanders at the Buccaneers, two of my favorite teams this entire year, meeting on Sunday Night Football. My only sadness about this game is that one of these teams will have to go home. It does mean I'll get to watch either Baker Mayfield or Jaden Daniels in the divisional round, but I kind of want both to be around. So selfishly, I kind of wish they weren't facing each other, but that is what we get here. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Bucks favored by 3. There has been some interest in the Commanders this morning because they were 3.5. It was a light 3.5 or 3. Then at minus 105, it's now plus 3, minus 110. So it seems like there's been some interest in the Commanders in the betting market. But I think that 3 is fair. Got the Bucks favored by 3.2 on my end for this one. So I'm probably not going to bet that. I would need it to move a lot in order to buy the Bucks. Not buying the Commanders either, so I can stay away from the spread. I do think, though, there is value in the over in this game. My model has this total at 54, which is very, very, very high, and I am aware of that. Total for this one at FanDuel Sportsbook, 50.5 is minus 105. I'm okay taking that over because it's one of the highest totals my model has had, which makes sense because the weather's not too bad in this game. Only 4-mile-per-hour winds projected in Tampa on Sunday night. It is 2 good and efficient offenses and 2 pretty poor defenses. Without adjusting for injuries for other teams, the Bucks rank 3rd in my offensive power rankings for this year, and the Commanders are 5th. Now, in reality, they're lower than that because other teams get bumped up due to injuries they've had during the year, but I don't think it's all that far off. On defense, the Bucks rank 12th for me, Commanders 28th. That's a big part of why I think the spread is fair, with it being the Bucks minus 3. We could see these two teams really trade blows because they can get chunk gains on offense via Jaden Daniels' legs, via Terry McLaurin, via Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan now as well, and Bucky Irving. So we can get these big plays which you need to get an over, and we could see kind of a back and forth kind of affair where both teams are converting on third down at a very high rate. I think this game is actually just as fun as you would think it is, and that fun, at least in my eyes, should translate to points. Only 5 games are historical comps for me in my model. Only 6 games, I should say. just because this total is so high. So don't have a huge sample to draw from when trying to identify, okay, does it actually go over 50.5 at a super high rate? Of the 6 games, they featured an average of 56.3 points. They've gone over 50.5 only 3 out of 6 times. That's not enough to lay the minus 105 on the over, but it's also a very small sample. And this is a fun bet for a fun game. The playoffs are supposed to be fun. Betting is supposed to be fun. My model says it's a good bet, so I'm just going to do it and rip it. Over 50.5, minus 105 at FanDuel Sportsbook for the Buccaneers and Commanders. Not going to touch the spread. I just want to be excited when both these quarterbacks work their magic. It's going to be a fun game, and I'm looking forward to watching that one on Sunday Night Football. Final game of the wild card round is this one. It should be a fun one too, between the Vikings and the Rams. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Vikings favored by 2.5, and the total in this game is 47.5. I've got the total a bit lower personally at 46.5, so I'm not going to touch that one unless it were to increase as the week were to go along. I do, though, show value in the Rams' money line in this game. That's not an overreaction to what happened to the Vikings against the Lions. I was on the Lions in that game. I had the Lions here by about 5 points, talked about here on the show, how I thought there was value in them. So I was below mark on the Vikings to begin with, and then they struggled in that game. They're now facing the Rams, who have been an awesome team when Kupp and Nakua have been healthy this year. Matthew Stafford is at 0.23, passing net expected points per dropback in games with Nakua active. That's NumberFire's EPA metric, and that's actually better than Sam Darnold at 0.15 across the entire season. So the Vikings have the better defense here. They've got the better defense, and they may have the better offense, but there's also a decent chance, a non-zero chance, the Rams actually the better offense in this game. They did rest their starters after sitting in week 18, so that's a positive for them. They're at home, whereas the Vikings were on the road and facing a very physical Detroit team. So I am comfortable betting on the Rams, even while, again, respecting what the Vikings have done overall this year. I think there is enough here to bet the Rams and bet on them in this game. It's just, you have to decide whether you want to go with the money line or go with the spread. Currently, plus 2.5 is minus 118. If you want to take the money line, it's plus 110. It's bounced around a bit this morning. Was plus 116, then plus 114, now back to plus 110. So it feels like this market should stay pretty even where it's at right now. And to look at my model where I've got the Rams favored by 0.15 points, games do fall within a field goal pretty often there, which means getting the 2.5 points is actually more valuable than it would be a lot of other times. The implied odds of minus 118 are 54% versus if you take the plus 10, that is a 47.6% implied odds. So it's accounted for the fact that this game could fall under a field goal at a pretty high clip. I think it could go either way personally. The points actually, again, do matter here, but I just don't want to pay minus 118 to get them personally. Prefer to go with the Rams money line plus 110 in this game. Again, the Vikings, not a fluky team. They've been awesome. They've been respectable. The defense is very good, but so is this Rams team when they've got Stafford, Nakua, and Kupp all healthy, which is the case right now. So I am very okay taking the plus 110 on the Rams in this game and betting against the Vikings for a second consecutive week. So the bets that I like here across the wildcard weekend, I like the Rams money line plus 110. I'm okay buying in the over for the Bucs and the Commanders, 50.5 at minus 105. Keeping tabs on the Packers, want to see what the injury situation winds up being there. Keeping tabs on the Broncos, see if we get a better number there. I like the Ravens minus 9.5 as they take on the Steelers. And we're on the Texans money line plus 130 as they take on the Chargers. What could possibly go wrong with that one? That is all that we have here for today on Covering the Spread. As mentioned, we're back with you once again tomorrow, talking about the college football playoff semifinals. Riley Thomas joins us noon Eastern on the YouTube page to break down his thoughts on both those games from a spread and total perspective, letting you know where he sees value at FanDuel Sportsbook. To get those, to watch it live, check out the YouTube page, turn on notifications there, and make sure you subscribe, but also leave us a thumbs up. We appreciate those of you watching the YouTube as always. And also don't forget to subscribe to the Covering the Spread podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. If you got any questions for me, I am on X and Blue Sky at JimSannes. You can also find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you. If you're betting Wildcard Weekend, we'll break it down more in depth on Thursday. Megan Payne to get her thoughts on this weekend's games. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.